Welcome, everybody. It is Topic Tuesday today. My name is Jorie Houlihan. For those of you who don't know, I am your guide for the dopamine deprived, and I come on here live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time to talk a few minutes about something ADHD related. So this week, we are talking about time optimism in ADHD, also kind of known as time blindness. However, I joke often that people with ADHD are very optimistic people because we buy a planner and you're absolutely positive that this is the planner that's going to change our life. And then we use it for like a day and a half, right? But we mean it in the in the moment. Ask me how I know this. So, time optimism is sort of along the same lines. It is the belief that you can totally do one or more things in a not so realistic time frame. Okay. So, and that you can do that even if you're already late. Yeah. So let's say you have 10 minutes between, that moment in time and a meeting that you have to get to. For so many people with ADHD, their brain says, "Oh, I have 10 minutes. I have plenty of time to, return 10 emails, make a couple phone calls and paint my office." And I don't know why. Well, I do kind of know why. So our brain focuses on what's going on right now. Okay. So as you probably have heard, there's now and there's not now, and not now doesn't exist when it comes to ADHD. And so as a result of that, it makes it really hard for us to estimate how long things will take to do. Time also tends to move differently for us. We don't feel time passing the way that neurotypical people do. And so for a lot of people, 5 minutes feels like a really long time. And so they'll be like, "Oh, I have 5 minutes. Oh, okay. I'm going to get up, take a shower, put some makeup on." It's like, no, you have 5 minutes, right? There is a couple, um, I think their handle on Instagram is ADHD Love. They're a British couple. And he said something to the effect of that's 300 seconds. And something about that made a big shift for her. And she was like, "Wait, that's only 300 seconds?" And suddenly she realized, oh my gosh, that's not much time at all. So finding ways that you can kind of trick your brain into realizing like, I'm not being realistic about a time frame. We tend to think that, everything is 10 minutes away from where we are. Not everything can be 10 minutes away. It just can't. It literally cannot logistically, statistically be only 10 minutes away every place. We will sometimes say, "Oh, we're in a traffic jam. You know what? I can totally get to work on time if I take this weird back road that I've never taken before. I'm sure it'll be fine." Again, super optimistic, does not always work out. Now, if you live in Chicago, I have learned how to make good use of the alleys. I don't think you're really supposed to do that, but, you know, back in the day when I lived in the city, I would do that a lot, actually, to get myself through traffic. And it did sometimes work, actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, um, again, because we don't feel time passing the way that other people do, it makes it hard to explain to people why we're always late, why we are trying to cram so much into a small period of time. Um, and we also struggle with switching tasks, right? So we'll be working on something and now we have to stop because we have to go to an appointment. And in our brain, we'll go, "Okay, you know what? I can totally finish this before I have to leave." Well, you were actually supposed to leave 10 minutes ago. And so now you're also still trying to finish this. And prior to my really looking into time blindness, see, I'm one of those people that I'm chronically early for everything. And people who were late drove me crazy. And I thought it was really rude and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know anything about time blindness, in spite of the fact that I actually also have terrible time blindness, but I also have a lot of anxiety around time, and that's why I'm early. And because I have built in transition time into that time. That being said, um, but when I talk to people who are chronically late, what I hear is that optimism. I genuinely think I can finish this thing before I have to leave. And then they lose all track of time, right? So you add to that also the fact that we tend to underestimate how long things will take. Again, that optimism, right? We're like, oh, this will take me 2 minutes and it will take you 10. Now, that being a one off may be fine, but if that's how your day starts and that's what you do with every single task, this is why you are always late and why you aren't getting things done. Okay. I love that we are such an optimistic people. We really are, which, considering how hard life is for us sometimes, is kind of remarkable. But we have to be realistic about these things, right? So, because when you are chronically late, what are some consequences? You could lose a job, you could lose relationships, right? Um, Sometimes because we lose track of time, we end up skipping meals. Definitely not great for ADHD brains. Not great for anybody, but definitely for us. We sometimes miss appointments, and then we have the ADHD tax of, a skipped appointment fee, things like that. Um, and we just, in general, tend to feel like we're just not great at adulting. And so I want to give you a few suggestions in terms of how to maybe help yourself with this. Okay. So when you notice it, name it. Like, hey, I'm being totally unrealistic about how long this is going to take. I'm being optimistic about time, which is great. I'm happy I'm an optimist, but it means I'm about to overcommit to something. I'm about to try and fit too much into this small time frame, whatever it is. Okay. So that's the first thing. Name it when you see it. The awareness alone, you will hear this theme come up a lot with me. Self-awareness, which is not one of our strong suits, is one of the best ways that you can learn how to manage your ADHD. You have to be aware of how it impacts you specifically. Because, like I said, most people with ADHD tend to be late all the time. I'm chronically early for most things, right? It impacts all of us differently. Maybe also do what is called the double it, which is, if in your brain you go, okay, this will take me 10 minutes, just automatically double that. Automatically double it. One of the first things I do with my clients is have them track their time. And I will tell you that their underestimation of how long things will take is almost always about half. So if they double it, they will then be closer to being on time. And that's for tasks that they want to do or that they're indifferent to. On the other hand, we tend to overestimate how long things will take if we don't want to do it. So that's a whole other thing. You also want to leave some buffer time between activities, because of the fact that sometimes we do run long, we do lose track. Having a little buffer time in there can be really helpful so that you are not constantly behind, right? And using visual timers, this is my visual timer. See, I can see exactly how much time I have left. This thing is amazing. And it's such a simple thing when you remember to use it. I sometimes forget myself sometimes, but I can see exactly how much time is left. I just need to look at the color, right? So using tools like that can also then help you become more realistic about how much time you actually have left. And then also, and this one is really hard, and I admit this is one I struggle with too, actually stopping at the stop time. When that timer goes off, I will sometimes go, okay, let me just finish this one thing. And I turn the timer off and I go back to what I'm working on because I think it's only going to take me a couple minutes. And then it's 10 minutes later, right? If I'm lucky that I realize it. So stopping when the timer goes off or when your alarm goes off or whatever you use to help you with that, stop and then move on to the next thing. It is not that I like I said, I know how hard it is to do. I struggle with it myself, but it really does make a huge, huge difference. Okay. So that's kind of it for today. That's time optimism. So I hope that you found something useful out of this. If you have used some strategies that have been really helpful for you with this, please put them in the comments. I am always like, let's share the wealth. right? Everybody could use help, and I'm always looking for new tools myself, so definitely feel free to put those in the comments. And also, if there are any other topics that you would like me to cover, please put that in the comments as well so I can try to cover some of those things. And I'm really happy that you have joined me or you're watching the replay of this. And I will see you next Tuesday. Another note, tomorrow, tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm having my first live Q&A here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you can ask me anything you want that's ADHD related. You can really ask me anything. I will put a link for a form that you can fill out if you want to ask your question ahead of time. And so that you'll be able to do that as well. Or if you want to ask it anonymously. The Q&A is typically going to be for the paid subscribers only, but I haven't done it before, so I'm going to do it for the first time tomorrow for everybody so that you can kind of see what it is and see how it works. And it's going to be kind of I've never done it on Substack before, so I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work out, but hopefully it'll be okay. I'm being very optimistic. So anyway, but I hope to see you there. Again, feel free to ask questions ahead of time. I will put that in the link of this as soon as this gets put up. And if you have any questions, let me know. But if nothing else, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And if not, I will see you next Tuesday. Have a great day.